go. Zammi held up a forefinger. One glass of wine, then I'm out. Fernandez shrugged gleefully and said, We'll see. Then she pulled Professor Kaspar into the hall. There was plenty of cake still sitting on the serving counter, with a stack of plates waiting to be filled. Fernandez lifted two off the top and artlessly dumped a chunk of the heavily iced pink sponge on each. Zammi lifted a hand, palm out, as she thrust a plate toward him. Suit yourself, she said, and dropped one of the forks back into its tray, before scraping a slice of cake onto the other plate. She dug her fork in and took a bite. After swallowing, she said, You better get something. It looks weird otherwise. Zammi nodded and selected a chilled, clear pouch of pale ale. They really pulled out all the stops, he smirked at Fernandez. Beer and wine. She chuckled and polished off the first slice of cake. Told you it would be fun. Zammi shook his head and scanned the room. He recognized about half the people, mostly other members of the history department or chairs of other departments. Marius Monroe, the history department chair, caught Zammi's eye and waved him over. Zammi didn't recognize the two people Marius was talking to, but the three were of a similar vintage and looked like they shopped at the same tailor's. Department heads, Zammi whispered derisively, while forcing a smile in Marius's direction. You get on with Monroe just fine, Fernandez said. Yeah, I do, but he's the exception that proves the rule. That's not a thing, Fernandez said, and shoved Zammi firmly toward the knot of people. Go get congratulated. Zammi acquiesced, and Marius slung an arm around his shoulders when he approached. It was awkward in more ways than one. He was a head shorter than Zammi. Here's to our newest rising star, he announced to anyone within earshot. Finally, a voice for Exopop, eh, kid? Zammi tried to smile gamely and sipped from the pouch of beer. The liquid went down wrong, and he coughed, sputtering. Marius slapped his back, and he managed to get his diaphragm under control. What a nightmare. I remember my first beer, a stranger in a tweed, floor-length tunic said, not entirely unkindly as the others chuckled. It will be good to get some fresh blood in the place. Zammi glanced around for an identification panel and saw the translucent hollow floating just over the person's left shoulder. Dr. Laura Evastar, linguistics chair. Thank you, Dr. Evastar, Zammi said, after clearing his throat one more time. I hope to be useful to the department. I'm sure you will be, Dr. Kaspar, she said, then took a deep pull of her drink. I remember when I got tenure back, it must have been nearly 20 years ago, wasn't it, Marius? We were still such a new institution in those days. Zammi tried to keep his face neutral as he tuned out the droning reminiscence. It wasn't a conscious choice. He just naturally stopped being able to process boring, self-referential exposition. At least that was what he told himself. He nodded at random intervals, then made a show of catching a glimpse of something in the distance. Please excuse me, he said, when Dr. Evastar paused to take a breath. Then Zammi strode purposefully over to the corner of the nibbles table where Beryl Fernandez was parked. I hate this, Zammi said. Hummus? Fernandez held up a flatbread smeared with a paste so strongly flavored that Zammi could smell it from a meter away. He shook his head with a wry smile at Fern's gambit. No, you know I don't hate hummus. He dipped his own chip and popped it into his mouth. Creamy, garlicky, peppery. He took another one. Across the room, someone laughed a little loudly, and Zammi flinched. Whoa, Fern said, dropping a hand lightly on Zammi's arm. You are jumpy. I'm fine. He shrugged and turned away. It had been over 2 decades. Surely he should be over it by now. But no. Every party was always the same. Every ostensible celebration, internally morose. A reminder of that night. He'd been just a kid and so excited to be at a grown-up party with his big sister and all 3 parents. And when Mom and Poppy had left early, it had been even more exciting to be allowed to stay behind.